Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Defective Butcher, and thank you for tuning in to yet another figure review. I apologize that this review took so long to come out. I got the figure on the 18th, and I just kind of wanted to sit on it for like a week or so, and yeah, see how I felt with it, and it really is a good figure. So, also my initial recording of this review was just super sloppy and all over the place, so here we are. Take two, I guess. Also, to help myself stay on track, this review is being scripted for, just for my benefit, because, again, I do tend to skew off a lot. So, without further ado, today we're taking a look at the gravity beam version of the Hiya Toys King Ghidorah from the North American 2019 film Godzilla King of the Monsters, which is right here. Yay, it's in the background. In case you weren't aware of who King Ghidorah was. What's wrong with you? Go watch the movies. They're really good. In all seriousness, he's the main freaker that's, funnily enough, golden, with 3 heads. He's, for lack of better words, Godzilla's main nemesis. Oh, and he shoots freaking lightning beams out of each mouth. That is just so cool. And my word, dude, the Monsterverse did this guy justice. Oh, it's so good. Just how vicious he is. This iteration of Ghidorah might just be my favorite version of the Midas dragon. The Midas, Midas touch. That kind of thing. He's just so unapologetically evil, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. I mean, for God's sakes, he went out of his way to eat Vivian Graham, a person who surely amounted to maybe a quarter of a mini M&M. Like, to him, maybe not even that. Like, if that's not evil, I don't know what is. That's basically me, a big person going after a flea, essentially. And yeah, like, come on, tormenting the little things is just, that's his MO. And he wasn't just evil, he was really powerful as well. He's overpowered Godzilla, this guy, on multiple occasions, the literal king of monsters. Not only did he kick Godzilla's ass in King of the Monsters, he did it again in Godzilla vs. Kong as Mechagodzilla, which was really good fight, by the way. It was round 2, or I guess round 4, technically. Round 4 was incredible to witness, and it was awesome. It was just a really good fight, and yeah, we're going to get into it here in a second, but aside from being really cool, each of the 3 heads has different names. So here you got Ichi, which means 1 in Japanese, Ni, and then Kevin. Alright, and I love that they gave the left head here a different name, and it's just, it's so good. That meme exists for a reason, okay? Again, if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, it's really good. So, this might not be a surprise, but Hiya Toys did the Monsterverse version of everybody's favorite floppy King Right. Not even SH Monster Arts managed to get this figure right. Like, even for that price, dude, it was just an insane price. So, yeah. Finally getting out of small talk, we're going to be talking about, just everything in general. And we're going to start with the box, and my lord, the box is absolutely massive. So big that I'm going to have to get back for some of these shots. So, the box is apparently 17 inches tall, exactly, and almost 20 inches wide. And that makes sense because this guy is packaged in the box. Wings spread. The only thing that's, not really attached is the tails, but we'll get into that. The artwork on the box utilizes the figure in various poses, and it is beautiful and perfectly captures the spirit of the Monsterverse baddie. And it's not just on the front either, it's on the back as well. And yeah, like, this box just blew my mind, and this kind of gives me hope for other Hiya Toys boxes, because the Ghidorah box wasn't the only one that I really enjoyed. Like I absolutely found myself loving the box for the pre-evolved or re-evolved Godzilla from Godzilla X Kong. Like, I absolutely adore this box. The color schemes and everything is just, sweet. So, moving on, this figure will measure in at a staggering 13.7 inches tall, with a super impressive wingspan of 22 inches. He's so freaking big that he's just really unwieldy. Like, my initial review just had me fumbling him all over the place because this is not enough room for him. I'm going to have to find a big shelf just to be able to prop him up on, and yeah, he's just that freaking big. Accessories will include an instruction booklet, we'll get into that later, 3 adjustable stands, 3 gravity beam effect parts, and the tails, because they come detached out of the box, and the shiny foily boy himself. So a little bit about the tails. Attaching them is one hell of an experience. The ball joint sockets are way smaller than the dumbbell ball joints, and that's on purpose, so the tails don't come off easily once you get them attached. 30 minutes with a hair dryer and some sore fingers later, some very sore fingers later, and they were attached. This has me very concerned for the future 1991 Ghidorah that's coming later next year, but I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. Just, I didn't like putting that much pressure on it, you know, especially considering how expensive of a figure this one was and how expensive the 1991 Ghidorah is going to be as well. But I'm super excited about that one, man. The bendy wire wings, whoo, it's going to be so good. Anyway, let's move on with the review. So the first thing we're going to discuss is paint, as per usual. The entire figure is coated from heads to toe in a shiny foily golden paint, and it is just beautiful. And it's a little hard to tell, but it looks like there's shading in some of these grooves and in between the scales, but I honestly can't tell. Maybe there's not. Who knows? Let me know if I'm wrong down below. And like, maybe I'm just wrong, and maybe it's just the way the light's hitting the scales that's tricking my eyes into believing that there's some paint shading in there in the scales. It also looks as though the underbelly, under necks, and under tails is a different shaded gold from everything else. Something we should discuss is these claws on the wings, the spikes on the tail clubs, and his toes. I could have done the bare minimum and painted the whole thing with the same shade of gold, but they made the effort to paint the claws and toes some sort of bony color. There's even some exquisite shading in the crevices. And last but most certainly not least is the heads. Each of these faces appear to be lovingly painted in beautiful detail, even though these things are minuscule. Just look at my pinky next to one. The inside of the mouths are painted, the tongue is painted, the membranes on the sides of the mouths, the nostrils, eyes, horns, teeth. It's all painted very nicely, and they gave the same level of attention to each of the 3 heads. They even gave a more accurate version of Kevin over here. So, as previously mentioned, the nostrils, horns, and teeth are all going to be painted. Each of the nostrils will be painted this kinda awkward looking yogurty pink color, but it's honestly nice that they even included it at all. The teeth and horns look like they have the same lighter gold color that's applied on his underside, but the horns might have some silver splashed in there. Either way, it's very nice to look at. I'm going to go ahead and give paint a gold star for golden paint. So moving on to the detail portion, I can immediately tell you that this guy looks super movie accurate as far as I can tell. The heads appear to be accurately sized, the neck length, wing size, everything. He just looks like he leaped right off the screen, threw a bucket of golden paint, and landed right on my desk. There's realistic folds and wrinkles that make this character just come to life. And it's easy to miss these gigantic veins on the wings. How could we not? All jokes aside, I think that the detailing on this figure is easily some of the best detail I've ever seen on a figure. And it does rival that of the GXK figure that I've reviewed like a month or so ago. The scales all along his body are rendered to what just feels like an accurate scale. I mean, especially on the breast area and toward the top of the neck by the head. It's absolutely impressive how small some of these get. The high level of detail just continues down the back into the tips of the tails, and I just can't help but to be impressed. And the legs even look good as well. Another bit of detail that I'd like to point out is the gravity beams that he came with. Each gravity beam is the exact same and they'll all operate the same way. You don't have to worry about mixing them up or keeping them organized, which is always a plus. Each gravity beam is going to be this nice looking transparent yellow plastic, and they all go in the mouth like this. And now he's shooting electricity out of his mouths. There you go. I'm sure that if I could actually see him in the movies, it'd be extremely accurate, just like the Godzilla figure was. So, all in all, I'm gonna go ahead and give detailing a golden star. It's just that good, man. I absolutely... There he goes. Shooting lightning. It's just that good, man. I absolutely freaking love it. The articulation on this guy is nothing short of impressive. We're gonna start at the heads, and I'm only going to do one head, as they're all the same, more or less. So we're going to focus on good old Ichi here. The head is going to be on a ball joint, I do believe. The jaw is going to be posable, and it can open really wide, like absurdly wide, and close, as you would expect. What I mean by absurdly wide is you can open the mouth so wide that the membranes pop out and you have to manually reinsert them with something like tweezers. Otherwise, this happens. And the tongue will also be posable on a hinge joint, just like the Godzilla figure before. Unlike that Godzilla figure, however, the tongue appears to just be super fiddly. When you open the mouth, the tongue tends to stick to the roof of the mouth. So much so that I usually end up using the included gravity beams to get the tongues into a workable position. Fuck it. 9 joints will make up each segment of the neck, but they will remain in a perpetual S-curve, like he has scoliosis or something. He can look straight up, but again, that curve is going to be ever present. He can look down decently enough, though, but not fully down. At the base of the neck, they can kind of maneuver forward and backward, and of course, they can get some kind of side-to-side movement as well. Moving on to the torso, skipping over the wings for now, the torso will be divided into 2 segments held together by a ball joint, so you can get somewhat decent range of movement in there, and of course the torso also gives you a bit of a swivel. The tail will be attached via the most frustrating to attach dumbbell ball joint in the world, and the tails will be made up of 10 segments, 9 of which will be the tail, and the 10th will be that nasty little club that never got used as a weapon, but totally should have. Moving right to the crispy golden chicken legs, they will be made of 4 segments. And the thighs on the ball joint, as are the rest of the joints. You'll be able to get some pretty decent poses with these things. Now then, these wings, man, they are something else, so let's get on to it. So at the base there are 2 segments, a top piece and a bottom. Starting at the bottom, it's going to be on a weird hinge swivel joint that's common in, some cheaper action figures. Especially for the, elbows out there. The top is going to be attached to this weird piece at the base of the shoulder, and then we're going to see that same joint that was in the bottom. The rest of the joints will be the same. While the wings are together, you can actually emulate a sort of flapping motion, if that's your jam. Moving up the wings, it splits off into 3 more segments. All of the wing segments can be detached and rearranged like so. This leads us into the knuckle walk pose. Basically, you rotate the segments on the top part at 90 degrees and fold them over the top. I know this thanks to this handy dandy instruction booklet. I personally can't get mine to do it. But instead of blaming the figure, I'm going to go ahead and blame me and say it's user error because I haven't seen anybody else struggle with this the way I have. So, you know, I'm just going to chalk this up to user error because, yeah, nobody else has had this issue besides me. So, you know, besides, I'm cool with this pose. I really enjoy this pose anyway, so it's not that big a deal for me. And, let me know if you've had the same issues getting yours to pose correctly, and give me tips on how to do it correctly myself. Anywho, articulation is a golden star because it's pretty fun to handle in all honesty, even despite just how freaking heavy he is, dude. It's just amazing. I love handling this guy. And so, this might be obvious, but despite the issue I've had with this guy, I really enjoy posing him and just observing him. And giving my score for this part is obvious, but my personal enjoyment will be, of course, a golden star because I really enjoy the shiny foil look he's got going on here. And I enjoy posing him, and I love the way he looks, and it's just really cool. And these gravity beams are really cool as well, and I'm really happy he came with them, even though they're pretty cheap feeling. But you know, it is what it is. And we've arrived at my final judgment, but my overall score will be a golden star, of course. I recommend this figure if you're into the Monsterverse, and I extra recommend it if you care about on-screen accuracy the way I do. It's a really solid figure that I have no trouble recommending to people, despite the $110 price tag. If you can still find it for that much, yeah, like, it's incredible. Get it if you can. So that's it. We've reached the end of the review. Let me know if you've gotten your hands on one of these bad boys, and let me know what you think of it in general. You can also let me know if you got the SHMA version, and tell me how much you prefer that one over this one. I welcome the conversation. Sorry it took so long for me to get anything out. I've been dealing with some personal stuff, but I'm back now. The next review will either be the Playmates GVK Mecha Godzilla that I've been promising, or it'll be a special Bandai figure that I just got. So, hey, either way. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.